Hi, this is Nicole from B&A Debt Solutions. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about spending money during a crisis. So with COVID-19, many of us are struggling with a reduction in income. Budgeting can be a challenging exercise during the best of times, let alone during the middle of a pandemic. So my biggest recommendation for people is moving to a survival budget. It can be your first step. When you're looking at a survival budget, you're going to start just prioritizing basic needs that you need. So those are things like shelter, medication, food, clothing. Those are the 4 basic needs we need as human beings to survive. Everything else is a high priority want. So for shelter, there's been a lot of initiatives for the banks to offer mortgage deferrals. So if you have a mortgage, it's going to allow you to forego some of your mortgage payments over the next coming months. And what they're going to do is they're going to tack those on to the end. So you need to be aware of what the cost is going to be, what the interest rate is going to be. But ultimately, at this point in time, it is a good option to consider this if you don't have the ability to make your mortgage payments. If you don't have a mortgage, you're likely to have a rental payment. So each of the provinces has been implementing a no eviction policy or legislation. It's best to communicate with your landlord about your current situation, but be advised that if you enter into a new payment arrangement with your landlord, a default on that particular arrangement with some landlords, they could get you out an eviction notice. So it's always very, very important to consult with a legal expert when renegotiating or re-signing a lease terms. Utilities at this point in time, they are offering a lot of deferral options with your utility companies. They're allowing customers to defer their April payments, possibly even their May payments. And these payments obviously will need to be made up. So try to make as much of a payment as you possibly can to avoid a larger payment down the road. But again, a good option if you're still waiting for that CERB payment to come in, or if you're waiting for EI to come in. Next of importance, I guess, would be medications. So medications can be a very large expense for most Canadians. If you don't have a work group benefit plan, you might want to see about getting a provincial group benefit plan like Blue Cross. If your employer's laid you off, a lot of the times your benefits might be canceled within the next 30 days. So talk to your employer and see what their plan is. Are they going to keep you on while you're on this temporary layoff on the benefit plan? Are they going to cancel it within 30 days? And if so, at that point in time, you can transition to this provincial one within a 90-day period of time. Sometimes the provincial plan might not cover all of your medications, or your medication costs are quite high. So speak with your physician or your pharmacist. They can provide you with maybe some samples or transition you to a lower cost or generic medication to make ends meet. It's really important to reach out to the community to see if there's anything to help with medications. The last thing we want is for people to stop taking their medications or reduce the amount of medication that they're taking. So there are a lot of programs out there that can offer some crisis funding for things like medications and dental. Food's another big one. So beyond our shelter expenses, we tend to spend the most money in our budget on food. I do have some 4 simple steps, which I'll cover a little bit more in depth in a YouTube video later on, but meal planning would be step number 1. It's good to kind of get an idea of what kind of meals you're going to be making over the next week, and that can reduce your costs. Then check your pantry. A lot of us have a lot of things that are currently in our pantry that we could use. Price matching is where you take the flyers from other stores, bring them into just one specific store, and have that specific store price match. You'll want to make sure that the store that you're shopping at does allow for a price matching policy. And then using points and coupons. So many stores will allow for a points program, and you can use those points towards purchases later on, like air miles or PC points. If food's becoming scarce in the households and there's just not enough money to buy groceries, consider contacting 211 in your local area. They can provide you with support to a local food bank program and help fill the gap when your income is reduced. After this, everything else, we have to prioritize the rest of your expenses. So as stressful and traumatic as a large reduction in income is for a family, it forces you to put your expenses in a priority basis. A scarcity mindset can quickly allow us to figure out what's important and what needs to be shifted. And a helpful exercise to do this is to list all of your expenses that you have, and then next to each expense, rank them in their level of importance. By doing this, you'll have a clear picture of what needs to get paid first and which expenses you can consider giving up or reducing. One of the big ones that a lot of people are doing right now is for their auto insurance. So most people have full coverage on their insurance for their vehicles commuting back and forth to work. But if you're working at home or you've been laid off, at that point in time, you can take off the full commuter insurance off of your vehicle, and that might be able to give you a good reduction, maybe even $20 to $30 per month. So Other types of expenses can be tied to loans or debt payments that you might have. It's a perfect opportunity to reach out to a company like ours to discuss your options and renegotiating or restructuring those debts with your creditors so that you have more of your income on a day-to-day basis going towards your basic needs. So for final thoughts, during these stressful times of uncertainty, we can all handle it a very different way. It can be a highly emotional time for a lot of people, and spending obviously can get out of hand. So if you feel like you need assistance with coping strategies for the stress and the anxiety, even the grief that we're all feeling during this period of time, or just someone to talk to, speaking with a licensed counselor or therapist is a crucial step. Many local counseling agencies are offering services via video conferencing or by telephone for your safety, and many group employee benefit plans will provide counseling services. So if you or someone you know needs help during this time, please reach out to 211 or your local distress center. So until next time, be well.